Today we are talking about solving multi-step equations in one variable. So really just adding on to everything we have been talking about. Make sure to write this down, your thinking process. When you're doing multi-step equations, you always want to first simplify the problem. That's either combining like terms or distributing or any other types of simplifying. Then you want to move the variable to one side of the equation. And then after that, it is like how we have been solving problems with what's the math been shown and work backwards from PEMDAS. So now on to practicing. Wahoo! So when I first look at this equation, 5 equals 5m minus 23 plus 2m, I can see that I can combine like terms. And you only combine like terms when they're on the same side of the equation. So I would have 5 is equal to 7m minus 23. Now I look what math is shown. I have subtraction and I have multiplying. So first I have to get rid of my subtraction, so I'm going to add 23 to both sides of my equation. And now I get 28 is equal to 7m. And now I have multiplying, so the opposite of multiplying would be dividing. And 28 divided by 7 would give me 4. So m is equal to 4. So again, first you have to look to see if you can simplify at all before you solve. You should pause the video right now, write these two equations down in your notebook, and solve. So when I look at your notes, I should see both of these equations solved in your notebook. So your two answers here, m should be equal to 6 and y should be equal to 3. Again, you should have all that work shown. You have to show work. So you first combine like terms. Subtraction is like negative, so that would be 11 minus 6. Negative is like subtraction, so that would be 5 minus 2. Once you can combine your terms, then it is just like the two-step equation. So what do I do here? First thing you have to do is simplify. By simplifying this, I would distribute inside my parentheses. So negative 8 times 2 would give me a negative 16x, and negative 8 times negative 1 would give me a positive 8. And that is equal to 36. Once you distribute, then you solve like normal. So I subtract 8 from both sides of the equation. I get negative 16x is equal to 28. And then I divide by negative 16. Divide by negative 16. X is equal to negative 7/4, because both of those can be divided by 4. And I leave it just like a fraction. Right now you should pause the video and solve this problem by yourself. Again, I should see this problem written down in your notebook when you watch the video. And you should have gotten that x is equal to 6. So you first distribute the 3, and that becomes 6x minus 18, and then solve your two-step equation. Fractions! And this is the same way to solve any other fractions when you add and subtract. The first thing you need to do is find a common denominator. In this case, my common denominator would be 12. So I'm going to have 12 and 12. Now that I know that my common denominator is 12, I'm going to rewrite the top part of my fractions. So for the first fraction, I multiplied by 3. So I have to multiply by 3 on the top, which would be 9x. And for the second fraction, I multiply by 4, so I have to multiply by 4 on the top. Now, since they have common denominators, I can combine the top. So 9x minus 4x would give me 5x over 12 is equal to 10. Now, whenever you have a fraction, this could be written like 5/12 x is equal to 10. And this right here is being multiplied. So the opposite of multiplying would be dividing. And you divide by whatever number is shown. So I'm going to divide by 5/12. And the dividing by a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply across. I'm going to reduce before multiply. 5 goes into 5 one time, 5 goes into 10 two times. So x is going to be equal to 2 times 12 is 24. 1 times 1 is 1. I don't need the 1 on the bottom. My answer here is x is equal to 24. You should pause the video right now. Right now, you should pause the video and attempt both of these problems by yourself. No, really. Pause the video. You should pause it. For both of these answers, they don't look that nice. But as long as you keep on keeping on, you should be able to solve these problems. The first one, you have to find a common denominator to combine your terms with b, and 20 was your common denominator. Then I divided by 23 over 20 once I combined in my fractions, and dividing by a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal, so that's where I got 60 over 23, because I can't reduce anywhere with 3 times 20 over 23. The next problem, I subtracted 5/6 first. And here I had to find a common denominator because I can't subtract two fractions until they have the common denominator. And I got 18. So once I combine those fractions, I have negative 13 over 18. This subtraction from the original problem stays with that variable. So I put the negative sign with the 3. Then I multiplied 3 on both sides, and I canceled the 3 and 18 before I multiplied. This 3 and 18 became 1 and 6. So my answer was 13/6. Decimals too? Yep, sure Bob. It's the same process when you're solving with decimals. So the first thing I'm going to do is subtract 3.5 from both sides of my equation. And again, it's the same process. So I'm going to have a negative 0.02x is equal to 2.26. And then I'm going to divide by negative 0.02. So I divide on the other side by negative 0.02. So x will be equal to negative 113. And that would be my final answer. So that is all for Chapter 2, Lesson 2. I hope you had a great time. I know I did. Have a wonderful day.